Why are we talking about business automation, Dan?
Let me tell you a story which has a common theme around how Dan should have listened to Lloyd sooner.
I already love it.
Which, if you're a regular anchor, you've probably heard us mention this before. But so let me tell you a quick story. So Lloyd is definitely a kind of work smarter kind of guy in my eyes. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lloyd.
Lazy.
No. I'm not saying that. But you will do anything possible to work more efficiently so that you don't have to work as much.
Yes, lazy.
Which is
yes.
Which is logical.
Yeah.
But I'm one of those people that is a kind of just a work harder kind of person, which I don't think is a positive thing. Which if we have an issue or a challenge, I will just work longer hours and work until I basically bleed my eyes out and hate my life.
Bleed your eyes out. True.
And kindly, Lloyd, ages ago, you noticed me doing this, and you have multiple times suggested to me, Dan, you should think of ways to work more efficiently and smarter, and you should try different tools to help kind of automate what you're doing to save shitloads of time. And I was like, yeah, all right, Lloyd, shut up. And recently, I actually took your advice and tried a range of different tools that we're going to be talking about today and different processes, and it's literally changed my life. And I wanted to talk about it on the podcast because I reckon there's other people like me that this will change their life.
I honestly think most people don't use things like this. I reckon most people work far harder than I do to get the same output.
Yeah.
And I think, thankfully, I do. I know I was joking, but I think it does. I wouldn't say laziness, but I suppose it stems from me wanting to be able to work the least I have to get that output. Do you know what I mean?
It's logical.
To be able to do more and better work stuff, but also be able to do different stuff in my life and not be working all the time. But Dan, I definitely don't think you're like unique. I personally think most people work in a way like that, and therefore this episode will be very useful, hopefully.
So that's the backstory. I want to dive straight in because we have got a lot of good stuff to talk about this episode. So can you kick us off with one of your sort of work smarter nuggets, Lloyd?
Okay, this is the most OG work smarter nugget for productivity. So this is something some of you might be doing because I've been doing this for like over 10 years now.
10 years?
I would say this is like the basic. This is if you're not doing any of this, you bloody hell, this whole episode will be really useful.
Okay.
But some of you might be doing this.
I'm excited.
This is available for Gmail and Outlook. As well as other email software. So it's using rules and templates for email. So this is what I mean. Like, this isn't high tech. We're not talking about AI or anything like this now. This is something I literally started doing in 2013.
Tell us about rules and templates.
So basically, it's to minimize the amount of time and resource you put into emails that you're sending and processes with communication day to day, which is a massive part for most of our jobs. Probably business anchors, listeners here, a lot of it, even if it's not email, will be communication with people. So imagine you're Lloyd Knowlton in 2013. You're driving your wife's Chevrolet Spark to work because you don't have a car. It doesn't have electric windows, aircon, central locking, or even a parcel shelf. Okay, just setting the scene here. Your boss is called Dave. He's pretty cool, but he comes into the office for half an hour each day to show his face and then disappears and doesn't do any work. So he's lovely, but not overly helpful. And you've got a task to hire about 30 people and manage the whole process of organising interviews, job offers, job rejections, new employee forms, all that jazz.
Okay.
Have I set the scene nicely?
You've set the scene.
This is Lloyd 10 years ago, all right? In 2013, this first year I'm doing it, absolute chaos. All right?
I remember you being incredibly stressed.
Yeah, you receive new application emails every 2 to 3 minutes. You give a job to someone you meant to reject and you don't realise until they arrive on their first day. Okay?
You actually did that, didn't you?
Yeah, that's true. Literally, he walked in and I thought, well, there's that guy that I didn't give a job to. And he was sort of there in his uniform. I was like, oh, right, okay, going to deal with this. But this is what I mean. Obviously, that's a massive mistake and a blunder that can happen if your inbox is chaotic. But and that only happened once. But, then you realise after this year of chaos, and this might have been part of what made me think there's a better way, because I was just like, God, is this what working's like? Because this was very early in my working career. And then I realised I can set rules and templates for my inbox.
And that saves your situation.
Well, set up rules the next year, emails for job applications, set up rules so they go into a specific folder for each
Categorised
role. So it's not just every 3 minutes a new email's coming in. There's a folder just filling up for when I'm ready to review applications for that role. There's a folder filling up for when I'm ready to review applications for that
That is simple
role.
but clever.
Yeah. And when I put emails into a reject folder, so when I'm like, oh no, then that's not for me, it sends an automatic polite rejection email. Okay.
Clever.
So they were the kind of first rules that I put in place, and it was an absolute game changer for me. Now, some of these are outdated now because some people might use recruitment platforms that you can do this within a platform rather than email. But I do think there's things like this day to day. There's repetitive processes we all have within emails. If we're someone that works in a job that uses a lot of emails, that these rules and templates can really help.
And you can, sorry, and just to check, you can do this in Outlook, Gmail.
You can do it in Outlook and Gmail, and you can do it in different ways on other platforms as well. Most people use Outlook or Gmail, and you can definitely do it there. And the other things, templates. So you basically write an email once, set it as a template, and then you can click one button to open that up. I've introduced you to that.
Yes,
Dan.
I've started doing it recently.
So, for example, in this case, I clicked one button to reply to invite someone to an interview rather than the year before when I was like, oh, hi, Stephen, do you want an interview?
And it basically is the fully written out email already written. You click it in one button.
Yeah.
And
And if I want to add or adapt to that, fine, but that takes 30 seconds rather than 10 minutes to write this email out. Click one button to request all the forms I need from a new employee. So setting up a template with attachments. So click one button and it's basically saying, here's everything I need from you. Clicking one button to offer a job and confirm availability. Now, this one was dangerous because that could have quickly got me to a place where I offered a job to people that shouldn't have it again. But if you use it well. So, this was an absolute game changer for 2013, Lloyd. And if anyone has repetitive communication or tasks, so for example, you, Dan, thinking of your role, you're quite often talking to people about new opportunities. That may be setting up a call, or it may be you have a repetitive task where people say, can you just send me something, a bit of an idea of what you do? That can be a template. Say, click that.
Literally done that.
Yeah. Great. Well done.
Yeah.
But the main reason to do this, I would say, is tidy up your inbox to maintain your focus. So you can, when you want to focus on emails from certain people, you can. And when it's not sensible to keep dipping in and out, they can go into folders and that kind of thing. You can automate those repetitive tasks that you have in your role, and this can save crazy amounts of time and focus. Also, another interesting use case, you can move sensitive emails out of sight. So say you're in a position where you're managing someone and you're talking about a sensitive issue, you can set up a rule to say emails from this person put straight into this folder that's confidential. So it's if someone walks past, they're never going to see that in your inbox.
Slagging your colleague off.
If there's an HR issue or something, you think, I don't want anyone to see those Steve issues. He's calling Susan a right prick. Right? And you'd be like, this is going to cause... So you go, right.
Do you know what? I'm shocked at how organised you were in 2013. From knowing you then, I just thought you were very chaotic.
No, 2013 I was chaotic then.
Oh, so it was 2014.
2014.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Another final interesting use case for people, obviously this is endless, but you can make it play a unique sound if you get emails from like a VIP list. So say No, stick with me.
Okay,
stick with me. Say oh God, I get 50 emails a day. Most of them are like spam. Most of them people that like I will deal with, but I don't want to immediately. There's these 2 clients I know I need to respond to within half an hour if they contact me. You can set up a sound for emails from those 2 people. Then you don't have to keep checking your inbox. You'll be notified if there's a reason to check your inbox, because this is something that eats up a huge amount of all of our time, checking checking emails, checking WhatsApp, checking Slack. So if you don't have to, and you get a specific notification. So that's my OG.
Thank you, Lloyd. That was really good. Really good. And I've started to apply some of those things that you've said, and it's been hugely helpful.
I feel like your next one, it kind of takes some elements of this to the next level.
Yes. So my next one is really the main one that's changed my life, and I'm not even exaggerating, is to use Calendly to manage your life. So Calendly is, again, it's on the same theme of sort of emails and calendars and that kind of stuff, but it's around how you book in meetings and calls and that kind of stuff, and it automates the whole process. So let me paint the picture for you. Previously, before using Calendly, someone would get in touch with us and say, I'm interested in working with you. I'd reply and say, oh, great. Can you do this date, that date, this day, that day, this time? I'd have to look through my calendar, find the dates.
Oh, the endless back and forth. Yeah.
Sometimes those dates didn't work. So then I had to go back and I also penciled those dates into my calendar so that I didn't book anything else in. So I delete those penciled out dates, try some new ones, pencil in some new ones, back and forth, eventually get time. Then I have to go into Zoom, open up Zoom, manually schedule a meeting with them for the date and time that they said.
A lot of people relate to this process of the back and forth and then
genuinely
having to do all those steps.
Shitloads of time. And you think I honestly get 50 to 100 emails a day.
Non-value adding time you're spending.
Non-value adding time.
It doesn't add a lot of value to anyone. Our clients, to you, to our business. It's just wasted time, basically.
And the funny thing is, so I've known about Calendly for years, right? I've literally known about Calendly for years. But I had a massive objection to using it, which was flawed. My objection was invalid because it's not what they do. So let me just tell you, if anyone can relate to this. I thought the way Calendly works is you say to Calendly, right, on a Thursday between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., anyone can book a meeting with me. That's when I'll take calls. And then you do that, and then every Thursday someone can book a call 9 to 5. And I thought, well, my calendar changes constantly. Like I'll book something in the night before, and it's like, so that's not going to work because it's going to be really not useful for me. However, what I didn't realize is when you connect Calendly to your calendar, it automatically, you can get it to provide dates and times where you already have gaps in your calendar. And when you put things in, it automatically updates the options that people can choose.
So they can't choose that time.
So they can't choose the time.
Yeah.
So it looks at my whole calendar. I can set time frames that I'm willing to take calls, like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I'm willing to book meetings. But it will only allow people to book where there are actual gaps in my calendar because I'm not doing something.
So you have the freedom any time to put something in your calendar to make sure you don't get those calls booked.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So now the process is, hey, interested in working with you. I reply once, amazing. Please book a 30-minute slot here so we can have an initial chat. Done. They book a slot. It automatically schedules in my calendar. It automatically sends them a link to the Zoom call. I've also set up text reminders through Calendly so that I get a text reminder and they get a text reminder like however long before the call, an hour before the call. And on top of that, there's some other automation I've set up with a tool called Zapier, which we'll go into in a second. But think how many hours like that. I spend so much of my time booking calls and meetings and things. That has saved me hours. So definitely, and it's so cost effective. It's like, I can't remember exactly, but it's like $10 a month or something crazy.
I know
cheap.
For your role in particular, Dan, this is why we spoke about it initially and why you looked into it and have started doing it. It saves you a huge amount of time. Some people think, oh, I only have 1 or 2 calls a week. Like, wouldn't be worth the effort? But I think there's some roles where people get like, oh God, I do so much back and forth with clients or customers or colleagues where we're trying to work this out, and this could be.
It integrates with so many other tools as well. There's like, that is the most basic level. I'm still learning about it and exploring it and finding new use cases every day.
You know, another positive for it, I think the perception of when I've been, when someone sent me a link before and said, oh, sure, book in, my perception of them immediately, I think, okay, they're on the ball. They're quite organized.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing if you're setting up a call with someone. I personally think like, oh, these guys are very organized and efficient with their time. That's a good sign. One
more random benefit that I've recently realized, it also helps qualify out people who don't really have a big intent to work with you. Because sometimes, this has happened a couple of times, I've sent the link and they haven't booked a meeting in, and I've followed up once or twice and they haven't booked in, and I've just left that. Whereas before, might have gone through the process of booking a meeting, then doing it, and they really haven't got that much intent to buy. So it shows that level of intent.
Yeah. Great.
Lloyd, what's your next Work Smarter nugget?
So, Work Smarter nugget, I love that we're calling it that, is our Loom videos.
Love a Loom video.
Is another tool we're using more and more within our business, and another tool that I think both of us have known about for years and haven't taken the leap, and fairly recently we've been using more and more.
What is Loom?
So, Loom is a video messaging tool and helps you get your message across through instantly shareable videos. That's what they say. It's quite a simple thing, really, when you think about it. It's basically a platform that makes it really easy to record a video of you talking to camera or you sharing your screen or both, recording it and sending a link or sending a file or saving a file with that video in. That's in effect what it is. Not an overly complicated idea or platform, but it is really massively helpful and can really increase your productivity and save time wasting. So, Dan, you're actually better at this, even though I've been talking about it for years. I feel like you've been using it more recently. Our accountant is brilliant at this. So they have it in their whole process. So they do like mine and Dan's personal tax returns. They do our tax and stuff for our business. They, all that kind of stuff. And whereas I feel old school accountants, it's like, right, let's have a meeting for 3 hours. We're going to talk through your accounts and
we'll charge you for that meeting.
Yeah, they know that we don't want to pay for that 3-hour meeting explaining what's going on. So they do our tax stuff. They then spend like 5 minutes sharing the screen, going through, explaining what they've done, explaining everything, any queries they have. Oh, we just need to check this, this, and this. And they do that all on a call, sharing their screen, talking through it, and then send me a link. You can even play it on like 1.5 times speed, 2 times speed. So whereas obviously it'd be rude to, in a meeting, to go, can you just hurry up? I haven't got the time. You can listen to it 2 times speed and get through it quicker, and you can obviously slow it down for bits that you really want to focus on.
I play everything 2 times speed.
Do you?
Literally everything. It just saves you so much time and you get the same information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so normally the videos they send me a few times a year are between 2 and 5 minutes. An incredibly efficient process for both sides. Both sides are using less time, less resource, and freeing up that time for value-adding things again. So they're really good at this. And I think the ability here to automate things and for new employees, this is the biggest thing for me. New employees, if there's any processes in your business, so whether you want to hand over for a holiday or you've got a new employee that will be starting, or you just want the process recorded for whoever might do it at any time in the future, you can record a 2-minute video saying, right, when I post on Instagram for Knowlton, this is what I do. I go through this process. I write this copy, put it through this spell checker, use these hashtags. This is what I do. Save that. Now, when you go on holiday, you can easily do a handover and say, oh, all the instructions are here on this video are recorded last year. And the best of the best I've seen companies use this, they basically use Loom videos as their company handbook. So they have videos saved in folders for all processes for everyone's roles. This is something I aspire to at Knowlton. And then if anyone is ever not around to explain something, or you just want to explain something incredibly efficiently, if someone leaves, new people arrive, they have a folder of videos and basically explains how they do their job. That's their training, someone explaining exactly how to do it, and you can revisit it anytime.
Since we hired a marketing manager and I've got better at delegation, it's really helped me to delegate tasks that I was doing that I didn't need to do, because it makes it so quick and efficient to record that tutorial, narrate, just explain what you're doing whenever the next time you do it is, send that to them, and then you never have to do that process again.
Yeah. So use cases, if you are managing people and regularly get asked questions of how do I do this, set up a Loom account, start recording videos, even block out 20 minutes a week to just record new ones. And then you'll get a great feeling when someone asks a question you've been asked 20 times, the first time you send a link to the video or tell them where it's saved and they can watch that. So managers managing people. Also, if you're doing anything like our accountants where you need to talk through documents or anything like that, set it up, have a go, do that rather than a 3-hour call. See if you can do it in 3 minutes and see how you do it.
It definitely feels weird when you first do it as well, talking to a screen, like just narrating something, but you get through that barrier of weirdness.
Yasmin on our team yesterday, she recorded a few for a holiday handover actually, which something we were talking about, and she did sort of say, I'd feel really weird doing this, but I think it's something you just got to do a couple of times. And then if you work from home or you're in an office on your own, it won't be weird anyway. You can do it. It's just when you're around other people and talking to yourself, it feels a bit strange at first.
Yeah. Can I tell you about Zapier as my next one?
Yeah, I've dabbled with Zapier, but I think it's something I need to spend more time on.
So Zapier is a tool that connects to more than 4,000 apps and automates tasks. So you can say that when one thing happens in this app, I want that to trigger another action in another app. That's the simplest way to think about it.
Yeah.
And quick backstory, I actually discovered a tool 7 years ago that did what Zapier did, called If This Then That. If there's any like OG...
I still use that.
Do you still use that?
Am I OG then?
So you use that because that's like one of Zappia's competitors. The main thing I read up about the difference is IFTTT, or if this and that, is more of a tool for like personal use because it can connect to like the weather app and tell you when it's going to rain.
That's how I use it.
Okay.
So it's more for like smart home stuff. So if I leave the house for a certain amount of time, it's the evening, it turns on a security light, and like if I press a button on my phone, it turns the heating up for an hour or something. Like all these different things
really
like
clever.
that. Yeah.
And if you really want to cringe, do you fancy a good cringe, Lloyd?
Yeah, I would like that because we've been cringing about me recently.
Yeah. So 7 years ago, when I used to wear suits and stuff and pretend I know what I'm talking about, I created a tutorial on YouTube, which is still there, called Tutorial: Find and Convert Customers on Twitter using IFTTT.
Nice.
And it's me with my high-pitched voice like that.
Yeah, it's weird how much higher your voice was, even though you were a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, just to give myself credit, let me tell you this use case that I used it for 7 years ago, and I'm still I'm quite impressed with it.
Yeah.
So I set up an IFTTT so that when someone tweeted keywords that showed that they had a need for social media marketing training or support, I would get an email notification, and then I would follow up with them to say, hey, I can help, as a lead gen thing. It was really cool. You can actually still do that.
Yeah, for 7 years, God, that was ahead of the curve. Setting something like that up.
But the way, just to give you the use case for how I'm using it now, connected
and
to
using Zapier now.
Use Zapier now. So Zapier is positioned as more of a professional tool. It connects to all like the kind of business tools that you use. The way I'm using it is I've connected Calendly, that I've just explained about, booking meetings, to HubSpot, which is our sales and CRM system. We've done episodes on HubSpot. HubSpot is a tool that helps you track all leads that you're generating, and you can set up a sales process and you can guide those leads through that process, set up tasks to remind you to follow up. It's just an incredibly good tool to help you attract and convert more new business. So I've set up Calendly so that every time someone books in that sales call with me, like I said, I use it for, I send them the link, book in a 30-minute slot. When they book that in, it automatically puts all their information into our sales and CRM system and sets up a new deal, filling all the information that they filled in the Calendly booking. So previously, I'd manually set up that call, which I said is a very tedious process. When they book in the call, I'd manually open HubSpot. I'd look at the information they've shared in an email, type it all into HubSpot, create a deal, set up tasks. I think all of that now is just automatically done when someone books in. And that's one of a million different use cases for Zapier. Yeah. Like, it's so worth just spending some time to look at. If you Google Zapier use cases, there's thousands of articles that you should look at.
I think for like anchors listening, if out, even if it's just Zapier, but any of these things, if you can set this up and save an hour a week, I think it's about that thing of thinking like the lifetime value of this time saved. We don't kind of take action because we're like, it will take me a couple of hours to look into Zapier, set these things up. But then it's like, well, if it saves you only an hour a week, you've got a positive ROI in 2 weeks, and then it's endlessly a positive thing. It's
that exponential curve that we've spoken about before. That 1% improvement looks like a very slight kind of upwards trend, but over time it turns into like a hockey stick when you're constantly making all of these 1% improvements.
Something I've seen and I've noticed is some people I follow online that actually kind of strive to have businesses with less people involved. So either it's just them working on their own, or it's them and 2 or 3 people, but they're kind of financially, you think, wow, you're making a lot of money for the size of your team. And there seems to be a pattern of people that are the best at setting up these processes. So like within just the work that they're doing and potentially their small team, the output they're getting because of the time saved on these like time wasting, non-value adding activities from things like this adds a crazy benefit over time and adds, like you're saying, exponentially the value.
The honest thing is, managing people is time consuming and stressful. And this is why the development of ChatGPT, and things like that, and AI tools, it's made it so that you don't need to hire a huge team to do all these tasks. You can have like an AI tool do the tasks that hiring 10 copywriters would do before. You don't have to hire an assistant. You can set up these automations to do things for you. Like, it can make running a business a lot less stressful. I'm not saying you don't need people. Of course, people are at the heart of what you do, especially in a service-based business like us. But there's certain tasks that humans do not need to do.
Yeah.
You can use these tools.
Focus your humans and your people on the stuff that really adds value.
Yeah.
And
creativity.
I think most people don't want to spend the time doing those time wasting activities. Like no one wants to kind of do the admin parts where it's like, oh, I've just got to set up these 8 calls, and do this in between that and that. You want to focus on what you're good at and improving what you're doing and that kind of thing.
Even just one more point with creativity. I saw a LinkedIn post the other day. Someone was talking about the fact that all these advances in generative AI, they're never going to be able to take on the creative skill, like being creative. It's an AI. But then you look at things like Midjourney, where you're asking it to do something creative and it's doing something creative. Like, I think it's only going to be a certain amount of time before AI and robots are being creative and producing things of their own back.
Use your time to add the value you can rather than non-value adding activities. What's the point?
Your next one, Lloyd, is a tool that I've seen you using a lot, and I've never really used it, and I'm intrigued to hear more about it.
I have to admit, like, this is much more productivity than automation. Like, I almost feel like I'm automating myself because how much this helps. So not quite automation, but it's Notion. And it's a space, it's really hard to communicate what it is and the value, because it's like a mixture between like Google Docs, Slack, Monday.com, Asana, like Notes app. Like, it's not, there's nothing like fundamentally like, this is this crazy bit of software that does this.
This is my question to you. So when I've seen you do stuff on it, a lot of the things I've seen, correct me if I'm wrong, you're creating lists and sort of documents and to-do lists and that kind of stuff. Why don't you just do it on Google Docs? Like, sell it to me.
I think, so this is what I find hard. Like, it's hard for me to think what it is and communicate. But whatever they have done, they make it the easiest thing to use and set up and do. And you can work, like, I can work the quickest and the most efficiently and enjoy using it the most. They've really got that right. And if I'm honest, I don't understand why. Like, they've made everything easier and better to use.
Yeah, well,
and that's it, really. Like, again, I think a lot of these tools, nothing crazily clever. I know Zapier is a bit different because it's like, oh, wow, okay, this tech links this. Most of these things, it's fairly simple. But and I was introduced to Notion by Ali Abdaal. I found him on YouTube. He does a lot of productivity type videos and videos on business, finance and education and that kind of thing. And if I have a process, so by the way, there are thousands of different ways you can use this, but I just want to say how it's really saved me time. If I have a process, this is how simple this is. I now set up a page on Notion. So it, for example, in my personal life as well as work, so my personal finances. So each month there's certain things I have to do. I literally set up a page with a checklist of actions I need to take each month. Each month I go to that page, remind myself what I've got to do those actions, tick them off. That's basically just a to-do list, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is what I mean. This is so crazy. But since I've been doing this for different tasks, I'm like, wow, this is, I think
wow, a to-do list.
Yeah, that's how crazy it is. But so firstly, it saves me the brain energy. Each month now, I don't have to remember to do this. I don't have to write a new to-do list. I just click the same place I click every time. And I go, right, I'm going to do this process. Then it's already there. I don't have to be thinking. And I think the great thing about checklists like this, it's the 30 seconds or up to like 2 minutes in between things. Your brain's kind of going, right, what's the next thing I need to do? And just follow this thing. And again, I think it's hard to communicate the value of this, but I would try Notion, have a look, or just on YouTube, search Ali Abdaal Notion, and he shows you a lot of ways that you can use it in business and in your personal life. It's almost like, it feels like a little personal website, because you create links to different pages within it. Right. So I have, within my own personal workflow at work, I set up all the clients we're working with, and I know there's certain things I want to do to check in with this project, to check in with that. And so I go there and I go through again, like, okay, that client, click. Oh, I've left myself a reminder to check these things that day. Okay, then go here, and then each month, oh, I know that I check in with that client to do these tasks and that kind of thing. And so you set up. Again, I sound like a boomer, but it feels like your own little website because you're clicking hyperlinks to different
Your own
pages.
little website.
It basically looks like a 90s website because it's just like text with links to different lists and stuff. But you can set up calendar views. I've actually set up a calendar for one of our clients using it for the first time as to kind of show them a content calendar, and I've been talking that through with some of our teams about something to consider as well. But yeah. Have a look at Notion. You might be like, why would I use that? But I just know personally it's saved a huge amount of time.
You love it, so I definitely think it's worth looking at because you are constantly on it.
Yeah.
Can I share one bonus one?
Okay,
just
quickly, Dan.
Really quickly. Fathom. Fathom is an AI note-taking tool that connects to your Zoom account and automatically records, transcribes, and takes notes for you in all of your Zoom calls.
Quick note.
Yeah.
Fathom.video.
Yes.
There's other Fathoms like Fathom.io and Fathom. It's hard to find sometimes. So Fathom.video.
Yeah. For me, personally, use cases, incredibly useful for sales calls. When having a call with a potential client, I ask lots of questions in the discovery phase. This documents and records all that question so that further down the line, when we win the project, I can easily share that information with the team. They can play it in 2 times speed. They can search for certain text, certain words that have been said if they're looking for certain answers to questions. Save tons of time and well worth checking out.
Nice. Anchors, if there's anything here, if you're on your commute or it's the weekend or whatever, and you're thinking, oh, I actually want to do some of these things, with these podcast episodes, we put these on our website. So say it was like, oh, I want to go back and listen to that Calendly one and find out the use cases or whatever. Go onto our site and you'll be able to see kind of
the podcast,
and what we've spoken about, and you'll be able to find the bit you want to and that kind of thing.
It's knowltonmarketing.co.uk is our website.
Yeah. So have a look there if there's specific things you want to go back on, because I do think this is one of those episodes where there's like actionable stuff. It would be good to go, you know, you might have heard like Calendly's going to save me so much time. On Monday, I'm going to go back and listen to those 10 minutes and make sure I set that up and take that advice.
We'll add links in the show notes as well to each of these different tools on the website so you can easily get them.
Honestly, please just like try even one of these things, because it is a game changer over time, how much time these things save you. Day to day in your life, and it will just add up.
And write a review as well.
Yeah,
now
write a review for this podcast because it's been incredibly value. I think it's time to go, guys.
Yeah. We'll see you in your ear.
Yeah. see you in your ears. Sorry, this has just been so incredibly value, and now my brain's gone to mush. All right, we'll see you in your ears next week, guys. Incredibly value.